Alright, so we're here, we got the STO all set up and ready to go. What's up, everybody? Today we are going to take a look at one of my personal autocockers, this 97 STO that I've been working on over the last couple years, and basically have a little work I want to do to it, but I'm going to explain to you why, and then talk a little bit about the autococker as I'm doing the work to it. So first and foremost, the general idea is that last fall, right now it's March 2020. Last fall I was at the field and had this out, and a couple people shot it, liked it, were asking me questions about it, and that's my dog ringing the bell to go outside. You gotta hang on one second, buddy. And they wanted to know, quite frankly, what my lower tube setup was. They wanted to know things like, what pressure was it running at, what valve I was using, what spring combination. Little gunner cameo here. Hold on one second, buddy. And to be honest, I put this together so long ago, and I tried so many different spring and valve combinations that I forgot. I couldn't even tell them an answer. I was kind of embarrassed about that because I put so much time and effort into putting this together and building it that I had forgotten what's in there. So I want to know an answer, and also for the longest time I had run an Air America black ice regulator on this, and I was just having a lot of issues with it. It would take me, every time I aired it up, it would take me a minute. I would have to totally back the screw out, increase it. It was a pain in the butt to get the black ice reg working, and I rebuilt it multiple times. I got a low pressure spring pack. It was just way more of a hassle than it was worth. Found this dust black CP reg for a really good price online, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to get that. I think it'll look good. I put it on it, think it looks great, should perform well. But since I have to sweet spot it anyway, the first thing I'm going to do, this weekend's going to be the first weekend I'm playing for the season. I want to sweet spot the reg. I figured good time to take apart the lower tube, make sure everything's good working order, and then sweet spot the reg. So that's the project for today. Take apart the lower tube. So first things first, I like to get my beaver tail out of the way, because that's just one less thing. All right, buddy, gonna do it again. Nope, guess not. Do that. Be right back. All right, so we're back. Puppy's okay. Wants to say hello to everybody. Yeah, you're great. Oh yeah, you're a cute dog. I love you. Got our beaver tail off. There's nothing for you up here. This isn't food, buddy. Not food. Just want to be pet. Oh, you can't. Nope. Not right now, okay? Not right now. Stay down there. Sorry about that. And the say's off. So, take that off. I got this about 2 years ago. I've owned about 5 97 or 98 STOs over the course of my paintball playing career. And about 2 years ago, I just decided that I really wanted one, and I wanted it to make it completely factory stock. That was my goal. I had a set of stock blue pneumatics, and I just wanted to get like a completely out of the box stock STO. At the same time, I was also trying to find a gray Shock Tech vert feed autococker. So, searching around the Facebook groups, come across a guy who he actually found this STO in its stock form at a pawn shop. Okay. It looked in rough shape, but I thought I could clean it up, fix it up, was excited about it. Got it for a really good price, and was excited about being able to restore. I wanted to restore stock STO. My dog, man, he is a chow hound. Hold on one second. I'm actually gonna tighten this up. So, right back. All right, take 3. So I was trying to find an STO to restore back to stock. I got this one, and when I got it in the mail, it was beat, and then it was just dirty. And I was looking at it, and I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be tough." So I said, "Whatever, I'll clean it up." So the very first thing I did was I started taking it apart, and I literally got to this step right here, where I took out the rear grip frame screw, and I noticed it was in really bad shape. It was in really bad shape. I'm not giving him attention. He doesn't like it when I don't give him attention. So I got here, and I pulled it off, and sure enough, man, it was stripped. It was stripped beyond belief, the rear grip frame screw. So since then, I was like, oh man, that stinks. That's in bad shape. And then I looked further along, and I saw this. Now, you might notice, if you've been around autocockers a lot, that is not a stock valve plug. So going by the stripped rear grip frame screw and then seeing this, I was like, oh man, like this is stripped out, like this whole body must just be shot. Like this must have been, somebody must have stripped out the threads on the original one and then drilled this out for a larger diameter screw. So now I would later have this helicoiled, and you can see I was silly and I had it helicoiled before I got it anodized. Shouldn't have done that, because then they had to mask the helicoil so that it wouldn't melt in the anodizing process. So that's what that black stuff is, the masking that I just haven't been able to get off, but you can't see it when the frame's on, so I just left it. But you know, and I've soaked it in acetone and got off a little bit, but it's there. I'm not gonna go crazy about it. So that's got a helicoil in it. Saw that, and I was just like, man, I'm gonna try to restore this thing that's all sorts of messed up. So, and then was really concerned. So I was really concerned. And then also about this time, I was looking around for other parts, and I actually had a stock STO barrel, I had stock pneumatics, but shrouds for these are, the camo shrouds are really tough to come by. And also, let's slide forward. Shrouds are really tough to come by. When they do come up, they're really expensive. Look at my sear, see where it is, about halfway. Give myself a little starting point when I put it back in. Okay. So I had a fat hammer in there, apparently. ShockTech fat hammer with a normal lug. That looks like that's actually one of the, this is actually an original fat hammer. Hold on one second. I'll go take care of my. If you've ever been around a Beagle, let me tell you something. They are just hungry all the time. They'll never not be hungry. And he knows how to beg for food with the best of them. So, but so now that I look at this hammer spring, pretty sure this is a hammer spring I actually got. It looks familiar now because it's a lighter color than a stock spring. So even though it's silver, it's not a stock hammer spring. I'm pretty sure this is actually a spring that I got in a cap hammer kit that I found. I was at a store, I found brand new old stock, and that would make sense because, yeah. So there's that. And then so I was concerned. Sorry about that. I thought he was going to do it again. So I had gotten to this point of cleaning out, of emptying the body to clean it up when I first got it, and was removing the plug. You know, and it's bigger. And that's when I actually noticed, I have to clean that up, that when I got to this point, I actually noticed, and it's tough to see, and I'm not going to take off the timing rod to show you, but the original, it came with a different VASA, but the original VASA had a second hole drilled in it. These original pre-2K bodies usually only had one air port from the VSA up to the body. The VSA on this marker that I got had a second hole. So I took off the VSA, and we'll get to all of this in a second. We'll put it all together for you. Get my valve tool in there. Valve is still in there. I'm going to have to take it downstairs. I don't want to bang it out on my dining room table here. So give me 1 second. It looks like it's a red valve. I don't know if you can see that. It's a red valve. Looks to be a shock tech. But I'll be right back when I get the valve actually out. Alright, so got the valve out. And in it was also a Madman green spring. Hard to tell because a lot of the green is worn off the outside, but if you actually look on the inside, there's a lot of green left. So this is definitely a Madman green spring. And then this valve is somebody in a past life, and it wasn't in this autococker because this has a bigger port. Somebody in a past life definitely screwed in a regular sized valve plug with this not lined up correctly. So this valve has definitely seen better days, that's for sure. O-ring on the valve stem looks okay. Yeah, looks alright. Just checking to see, because on cup seal looks good too. Clean that up just a little bit. So where I was going with that is when I got to this point, when I got the valve out, I noticed that in actuality it was drilled all the way through. That plug was drilled all the way through up into the bolt area with a wider port. There's also a second hole from the VASA up into the valve chamber, and it's impossible to see. I'm not even going to try to show you, but the valve chamber has been greatly enlarged. So this must have been somebody had a lot of custom work done in order to get this to operate at lower pressures. So I don't know. Now when I got it, it just had a stock valve in it. So it had probably seen a couple different owners and a couple different setups. Because when I got it, it was black. It was stock VASA on it. It had a hinge trigger on it, a stock valve, and a very stock looking hammer. So it wasn't set up the way I got it. It wasn't set up for anything special, but somebody might have had this set up to run real low pressure, maybe an AKA setup. This might have been, had a tornado valve in it at some point, and then somebody, when they got rid of the autococker, took out the valve stuff and replaced it with cheaper stuff to keep their internals. I don't know, but so either way, I got it, and I was like, well, I can't use this as a restoration project now. It's not even close to stock. And I was having, like I told you earlier, I was trying to find one of those gray ShockTech autocockers. And I was having a lot of trouble locating one. I later found a right feed. A right feed ShockTech autococker. You can see I did a restoration video of that. You can see that on my channel too. But try to get all the gunk out of this screw. Pull this off. So what I basically decided was I was gonna make a little bit of a hybrid, and I was gonna try to make like almost like a ShockTech STO was kind of the inspiration. I had all ShockTech pneumatics on it. I got it, and I sent it out for anodizing with a picture of the gray ShockTech stuff. And when I got the body and frame and all this stuff back, it came back in. It was about 2 or 3 shades lighter than what I requested. But I really wasn't unhappy with it because, to be frank, I think it looks cool. It came back and I liked it. It just wasn't what I asked for. So, I changed my course and I said, okay, well, I'm going to. Hold on a second, I got some paper towels. I basically just said I'm going to build it, I'm going to make it sweet, I'm going to make it the way I like it, you know. And I've been through a bunch of different setups. I had it set up with, originally with black ShockTech pneumatics, like I told you earlier, like the original ones. I had a first generation bump. Actually, the stuff that's on the test autococker that we use now when we test valves and stuff, that was originally on this. And then, you know, I kind of had a little bit of an epiphany, and I just feel like when I was younger, my first ever tournament marker was a 97 STO autococker, and it had red STO pneumatics except with a red Palmer's rock. And actually my PB Nation name, or actually my Paintball Dojo name, that was before PB Nation. My Paintball Nation screen name was Hellhound STO because it was black, it was red. I had a red and black vigilante regulator and a red trigger shoe. Thing looked sweet. It was awesome. So I just felt like a little bit nostalgic. Like, you know what? These STOs should have STO pneumatics on them. That's what I just felt. So I had the original set of STO pneumatics that I had when I thought this was going to be a straight restoration. The original STO Ram, which looked really cool, and the 3-way with the C-clips. But I put them on there, and just, I don't know if it was just, you know, Father Time had run its course on them or what, but they were rough. Like the Ram, I rebuilt the Ram, you know, plenty of grease and oil, and the 3-way, you know, fresh O-rings, and polished out the best I could, but they just weren't smooth. Just didn't feel right. You know, I shot the autococker for probably 2 weekends with that original pneumatic setup, and I just felt it didn't feel right. So I ended up stumbling across somebody that had brand new old stock later model STO stuff, which is what's on it now. This was all brand new old stock. The rock regulator was brand new old stock. That dog, man, he is acting up. I don't know if you guys could hear him just bark there. The Ram was brand new old stock. The 3-way is brand new old stock. I was disappointed though that the 3-way is a little darker than the rest of it. I was actually expecting that the Ram and 3-way would match and the rock would be a different shade. That was pretty common at the time, that a lot of people were running around with rock regulators that were a little different color than the rest of their STO pneumatics. But in this case, the 3-way is darker. So I'm constantly on the hunt for models of this 3-way. If any of you have one of those, email me. That might be a lighter shade than this blue. And then maybe one day down the road, I might just have a set of STO pneumatics just anodized, you know, the color that I really want them, which I'd want them red because I think it would look cooler in red. But in the meantime, replacing Oh, you got a toy, buddy? There you go. Sorry, talking the pup. In the meantime, I put these on, and it just completely changed the feel of the autococker. It was way, these were just, this ram was just way smoother. The three-way was just way smoother and simpler, and just way all around better. And then I went through a bunch of different valve and spring combinations, just a ton of them. And then must have been what I settled on, because this is what was in there. But so this cap spring, which is pretty firm, it feels more firm than a Madman Green spring, and then a Madman Green valve spring. So I gotta see if I have a different O-ring for this. I don't like the way. Actually, a good thing actually, because this is actually a Rat 2 valve. I wonder how different these valve stems are. Well, maybe they don't look all that different at all. I'll tell you, maybe. No, they are pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. I do have to replace this O-ring though. This O-ring's in bad shape. So, all right. So now that we see what's in it, I'm gonna take my time, and considering my dog's acting up a little bit, I'm gonna do this off camera. I'm gonna put all this same stuff back in. I just put on a new valve body O-ring. I might put in a new cup seal. I don't know. This one was sealing good, so I might just leave it alone. And then I'm going to change out this valve stem O-ring. Put it all together. I'm going to replace this port with a quick disconnect fitting so we can use our gauge. And next time you see us, we'll be at the field with this all ready to go, and we'll sweet spot it and see how it goes. So thanks for listening to me babble as I took this apart. Talked a little bit about my build, and see you at the field. Later. So as I'm buttoning this up, I actually just wanted to come back and show a few last things about it before we get to the field. We get O-rings out of this. So just about everybody Loctites their IVG, or not IVG, their the rear locking nut, this thing that goes in there. I actually have a different one. I also use, this is the second one, there's one in it right now. I love using these valve locking screws that have the O-ring in them. I just feel like the rubber against it, there's less metal on metal contact. I feel like it's good. It prevents it from backing out, and I just always, it might be just a little thing, but I've always tried to get these whenever I can. I Loctite that in there, and then I also Loctite the plug screw because air can escape. Not so much with the ShockTech valves that don't have a cross drill, but if you have a valve like this is a stock valve that's drilled all the way through, air can actually escape. So I Loctite that just for a better air seal, to not lose air there. And then diaphragm, Hogue panels. I am using a non-slotted trigger plate on this. All right, so different than some of my other autocockers that I have. This does have a non-slotted trigger plate. Evolution bolt, bell sails. Do I put O-ring on my? Do I put oil on my bolt O-rings? A tiny, tiny, tiny littlest bit. Right, just not even one drop. I barely just touch it with oil, and then use my finger and spread it around. Had a bunch of different bolts on it, had ShockTech, had a bunch of different cocking rods, and then this combination of the A&S cocking rod with the knurling there and the knurling on the bolt and the pin, I feel just looks really nice. P&P beaver tail, I've just always liked them. I think it's a good classic look. I'm not a big fan of the steel rod into a round hole. And then actually I was gonna do this, so I get this plug off. And I do like to use Loctite on stuff way more than I like to use Teflon tape. Teflon tape can get messy and can get in places it shouldn't, and for the most part, Loctite stays put. Doesn't cause problems. So we will Loctite this nipple, because I have my gauge that I use has a female quick disconnect. A little bit too much Loctite there. So I can just take it from place to place without having to go too crazy. So put this in there. ShockTech ASA, because the stock ASAs just don't anno very well, so I put that on there. Ooh. And that's really about it with regards to this. So glad I was able to figure out. Now I can actually tell people what the heck valve's in there. And I was also happy because I vaguely remembered that it was a red RAT3 valve, but the AutocockerParts.com knockoffs are also red, but they're like a little bit different shade of red than the ShockTech ones were. They were like a little bit more orangey. So this is actually a real ShockTech RAT3 valve, which honestly I don't think it makes a difference. That's on there good, but we'll keep putting this all together. Gotta save this plug, put this in a compartment so I don't lose it. I'm done with the Loctite. Good. That's long. And then I had a UL tip anodized to match. And then the back is, it's one of those knockoff, it looks like a UL, but it's actually bored for freak inserts, which these are actually really cool because even though they're an inch shorter, the freak back is the entirety of the diameter. It's not like if you actually drill out a real UL back, you get the freak insert and then there's one little bit of space where there's the UL back and then the tip. This just has straight two diameters. So also use the cap stainless front block screw. So I think they look the closest to stock, and like I said, I just wanted this to be like a classic build, not quite a restoration, but it's kind of just a classic build, you know. You know, it's not quite period correct anymore with the CP ray and this particular ASA, but ShockTech trigger pants, but I think it still has a classic overall look, classic feel. You know, none of the parts are too hot rodded out. You know, it doesn't have a gunfighter frame or anything like that. So it's just cool, man. So we'll take it to the field. We're gonna sweet spot it, shoot some rounds through it, and she's ready for the season, man. She's ready for spring. New York, it's still a little chilly, but it's almost here, man. It's almost time to get on the field and play. So thanks for joining me. We'll see you in a little bit. Back here with the STO. We're going to sweet spot it. Alright, starting off at 200 PSI, 228, 224, 244, 207, all over the place, 229, 219. So, more of the stories were going up. We're at 250 PSI. Okay, looks good. 274, 266, 254, 271. Not the greatest consistency right now, but .300 psi. Yeah, definitely. 293, 295, 279, 288, 295. Getting like this one shot well. I wonder if it might just be the paint a little bit. But either way, let's go up to 350. Just a shade under 350 psi. 290, 319, 317, one low, 320. The reg is recharging fine, so I think it just every now and then I get like a ball that's a little bit too small. So we're at 320-ish psi at 350. Gonna go up to 400 and see what we get. Okay, a lot higher. That was 348. Jeez. 335, 319, 335, 334, 339. That was 311, 340. So we're definitely higher than we were at 350. So, you know, people have always said Shock-Tech rat valves are not low pressure valves. They're high efficiency valves. So, and we went up to 400. We're at 450 psi. 450 psi when we were lower. So I'm gonna go back down to 400. And actually, I'm gonna go. I'm at 300 and right about 375. Don't know how well you can see at 375. Tell you what, shooting pretty nice though. We're lower. We're lower than we were at 400. .400 psi. Going 400 psi. Oop. And this is our highest velocity that we've gotten. So I'm going to keep it at 400 psi. Back out my velocity adjuster. Get me down to a playing velocity. See where we're at. 305, 308, go back to 301. Good news is the consistency a little better there. This should have us right where we want to be. 303, 292, 297, 293. Perfect. This is where we're playing. 400 psi. We're good to go. There you go. Sweet. Gonna go play some games.